Right then folks, that's nice and dry, so what we'll do is paint in the castle silhouetted. You can see I've put a pencil line across there, which is roughly a third up, just below the sun. And then we can do the dark colour first, the grey. I'll start off by putting a thick line across the horizon, pretty much to about halfway in the picture. And then we can start to thicken this thing up. So using this number 6 brush, start to paint in some cliffs, a little bit wobbly as you do it, and put some little lines going up. I'm just going to step down lower as it comes around the shoreline for the beach. We'll get some burnt sienna and we can mix that in with the grey on the paper. If you photograph this kind of sunrise or sunset, you'll pretty much get a solid black object there, but to paint it, people expect a little bit more life in the pictures. So using the natural grey colour, I want to do what I think is a silhouette shape of some form of Bamburgh Castle. Again, I'm using a little bit of burnt sienna because it needs some interest in there, but still keeping it as a solid object. There's a bit of a tower there.
Does it matter if it's not exactly square then?
No, it's not going to be perfect. It's medieval, you know. Medieval architecture's all over the place. Little bits of detail on the tops. And what we'll do at this stage is we'll leave that to dry for a few seconds and take some colour off using a number 6 brush. Right, so that's dry, and what we'll do is put some highlights into this. We'll start off by taking some colour off the contour, 1 or 2 lines. We can lighten the end there because it would be paler as it goes off in the distance there, and actually putting water on and giving it a dab with some tissue. You can see there it's starting to take the paint off, and of course it's something what you would take your time on this stage, and you can see how easy the colour comes off as well. And don't sort of panic about taking too much off because you can just put it back on when it dries. You know, it works. On the castle itself, the sun is coming across from this side, so I expect 1 or 2 highlights down the left side. Again, dab it with a tissue and you can see how it's taking the light off and it's catching the sun. You can see that working, yeah? Making a massive difference, this one. Again, down this side. Moulding the watercolour paint is so useful. It's amazing, isn't it, how it started life as just a solid object, and hopefully it shows you that it's every single step in your painting changes and something what you really need to appreciate. And there's a few bushes and trees around the side, so just a few little stipples around this side piece. You can see a little tree there. And bushes, and there's all sand dunes down there as well. We'll leave that to dry off and we'll see how Harry gets on in the hot seat. Right then, Harry, it's time to paint in your Bamburgh Castle.
Right.
Look-alike of Bamburgh Castle. So this is using number 6 brush and some natural grey thick and burnt sienna to mix in with it. So it's putting the line up about halfway across.
Okay.
And then just to make it a bit more realistic, if you drop it a little bit lower down there, as though it's curving, you know.
Like so.
An artistic curve. If you start to fill it in, and then as you start to come through and you lift the grey up, as you fill it in, start to bring some burnt sienna in, but without cleaning your brush. So now basically, folks, what you do is you stick a castle on the top of there.
Stick a castle. Here's
Yeah.
one I prepared earlier. I'm doing an exact
Like a
copy.
tomb.
It'll look good when it's finished. Come on, swap it for yours.
Harry, highlights.
Right.
So it's just water, number 6 brush and tissue.
So do I start here first?
Yeah,
Yeah.
imagine the contour, separations. If you separate these two with a line there,
Yeah.
and dab it,
Bring that out.
a bit more
Bit more water.
thought into it. Right?
Thought. Where's that come from then?
That's better.
Yeah.
And add a few of these, just working the way up. A lot of people, to make something lighter in watercolours, think, I'll put a lighter colour on it. Because watercolour's transparent, it just goes darker, darker, darker. So what you do is you take the colour off, like this, and it comes off so easy. Especially on dark, thick paint. Tree brush, and very gently tap. Fill it in a little bit up there. So, okay, so that's fantastic, yeah?
Well, I wouldn't say fantastic, but we'll go with your word.
Let's have a quick recap of this stage. Use natural grey and burnt sienna to fill in the basic castle shape. Lift out colour by using a small brush and dabbing with tissue. Make sure the left hand side is lighter and the right side is in shadow. And finish off by stippling the trees. So the final stage of this painting is to paint in the sea, reflection in the beach in the corner. And what we'll do with the grey on the size 20 brush is painting the horizon line. So I've put a pencil line there so I know it's pretty straight, and without talking or breathing, which is not easy for me, just bring that across. So it's giving us a line at the top there, and then start to bring this across on this side. And what I'll do is do this to about halfway and then water it down at the bottom. So using some water, wipe it on tissue a few times, and then just forward and back, and it's pretty damp there. I use a smaller brush and a slightly stronger grey for this one, so just thicken up the same colour. I wipe it on a bit of tissue again, and then just start to pull some reflections in, forward and back, horizontal lines, and hopefully you can see that just starting to catch in the water there. And at the same time as doing this, I'll bring one or two reflections over this side as well. So I'm just going to darken the top there and start to bring it down. But one thing I won't do is do much where the sun is, because the sun obviously is coming down into the water. So as I do the forward and back, I can leave the light down the centre, and I'll put a couple of bits of these over this side as well, leaving a lighter patch in the centre there. And just slightly stronger with the grey again, just dot it on tissue there, and then just inside the reflection of the castle, just bring in one or two darker bits. The darker you go from that side, the more it'll sit the castle down. Can we see reflections there?
You can, yeah.
I thought you'd nodded off then. So again, just one or two lines there, just catching slightly and reflecting quite a still effect to the water there. That's drawing people into this central area and hopefully giving us some distance to it as well. Now the beach, you can decide, either side works to be honest with you, but what we'll do is just dry that off for a second and then paint the beach in. Right folks, so what we'll do now is paint a beach. Now the painting you do is obviously your creation, and you can decide where the beach goes, but if we're being accurate, Bamburgh Castle is on that side where the beach is coming around this corner, so we'll do that. So using a small brush, number 6, and perfect sandy colour is natural yellow. It's a mixture of a few pigments, this one, and it's a good natural stone colour. Because it's a sunset picture, just slightly darken it by popping a tiny bit of grey with it, just to make it slightly more dirty. And then in this corner, we can just bring the beach coming round there. And we'll start off by doing little straight flicks, slightly thicker with the colour. Everything is built up as straight lines, and to make it look as though the water's over the top, you would paint it in straight lines as well. So bringing it round, curving it around the corner, getting little flicks as you do so. See what I mean? And that's what gives you the impression of the water. Bring it down, just using the same colour at this stage and fill it in. I'll bring more tonal work, but you can see how it's getting the water just washing in against the beach. And that's just natural brush strokes, if you like. But even at this stage of a painting, you still get the impression as though it's almost that's floating on the water rather than the other way around, and you've got to convert them over. And the way you convert it over, first of all, is to bring a little bit of burnt sienna into the bottom. That's a slightly warmer colour which will lift it up a little bit. The main thing you do is use some natural grey just over some tissue so it's dry, and you sort of flick away the ends of these areas. So a very dry brush, and you get that very quick dry brush feel. And what it seems to do is you can see it starting to switch over, but it's as though it's changing shape there. And the grey can be used to add one or two ripples in the water. So where these points come out, just very lightly extend them slightly into the water. A little bit of blending you could do at this point. Clean your brush, wipe it over tissue. And the tops of those lines, I could just very lightly soften those away. Soften them away at the ends and also at the top as well. And that will give us one or two very calming ripples. Are you seeing any? Is it happening? It's starting to work. Just a couple more of those and that'll be, I think, pretty much there for this one. I can see something down there. Wiggle it a bit. That's a ripple just washing in. Very slow, very calm day, obviously. Clean the brush, take the ends away, and then soften that line upwards in your water. And again, it's just getting that impression as though a few little lines just waving in a bit of dry brush on your beach at this point as well. Just a couple more ripples and then a few seagulls. A few seagulls, of course, in the sky would be nice. So that's just natural yellow, silhouetted, you know, near the sun there. He's a big chap. I'm going to call him Harry. And then, nice finishing touch would be to use a craft knife, very sharp, so make sure you get your letters again from your parents, and just scratch away at the base of the castle on the reflection of the sun. Keeping your lines nice and straight for this one. It gives a nice reflection of your sun there. A few little bits on the beach. And I think we'll leave it at that, folks, and it's time for Mandy to have a go in the hot seat. Right, Mandy, as you paint your sea and reflections and beach.
Yeah.
So it's using your big brush.
I've got a bit of a problem there.
Yeah, by the time you've done this, it should hopefully be a piece of coral in your sea.
So
No, I
it's
think you'll cover that up, to be honest. It's a nice line across.
straight on.
Yeah, all the way across, and then blend it down with water. Nice clean edge. And then blend the bottom piece away. She's getting good, folks, at this, isn't she? Confident,
Ruined
quick.
it. Look.
Bang. While that's still wet, thicker grey, and get some reflections on. Keep your lines horizontal so it looks as though
No
it's moving.
windscreen wipers.
That's
No.
better.
Ooh.
That's better. Now, no, some of these lines need to be blended out. So
Yeah.
if you clean it, squeeze it and blend it. Just some of these end pieces. There. That's it. Now over this side, we need to bring some dark ripples. Yeah? So that's all it needs to be for the sea, really.
So it's nearly covered that markup up.
I don't think you'll see that. We'll dry that off and then paint your beach in. Mandy, you're painting your beach?
Yeah.
We've mixed a cracking colour, which is natural yellow with a bit of grey.
Do a sort
Now
of
leave a
top.
gap. If you start about there, and what you do is you come down in horizontal lines and make each one slightly wider, or just wiggle it in like that. She just does it now. You know, after all these paintings, she don't talk about it. She just does
get
it.
on it.
She just does it. But what I would do is just there's no sort of ripples there really. So if you pull out one or two lines like this, so stop there, do another one there. So that's converted it
Yeah.
from that straight line into the
Hmm.
beach, but it does look as though it's floating over the water. So what you want to do is get some of the grey, and we can use this to work on the ends of these points, just some from the top as well, but take it from the actual point a bit,
Yeah.
you know, extend the point across into your beach and into your water. It's all down to foreground detail again, so it needs this interest. So go that way.
It's hard that way.
That's
Is that
better. And again, maybe this one just wants to come out. Not as though you probably see much of that one because your mount will cover it up, but that's sort of,
Yeah.
yeah, working. That's great. So if you just use a craft knife and we can put the light on the water. So
So
it's-
below the...
Yeah, it's going to sort of come out in perspective, make it wider. Keep your line straight and dig deep in this one. Lethal with that knife, isn't she? I would use more the point, like a
Up
pen.
or...
Use it like a pen, that's better. Do some horizontal lines across the bottom where the water's washing, that's it. And then a few digs and flicks. Yeah, birds. Seedles.
Seedles.
Seedles. Number 6 brush for that. Or a
6,
rigger, if you want to use a
2,
rigger.
yeah.
Use that, yeah.
One winged bird.
Whenever we use the rigger, everything seems to go quiet.
Yeah.
Whenever you do it in an art class, what seems to happen is that when people paint anything with that brush, detail-wise, branches, it always goes quiet. It means you're concentrating, yeah? So that's that finished, well done, and let's have a quick recap of this stage. As always, wet the sea area first, and drop in the castle reflection using natural grey. Painting the beach with natural yellow, sweeping it around the bottom corner. And finish off by using a craft knife to scratch away one or two highlights and sparkly bits in your water. Right, so well done to all three of you. This one's Nigel's painting. Top marks for this one. This is the best one you've done so far, so progression. The light on the water, the beach colour, it just works really well. No problems whatsoever with that one. Top marks. Harry, what can we say about this one again? Castle is definitely not Bamburgh Castle.
No, I moved.
It is. Yeah. It just needs a bit more work on the water. No painting is ever beyond repair. If you take the top off, I mean, that's fine. The water needs more movement in it, more reflections. Of course, you can do that.
Apart from that, it's fine.
Apart from that, it's fine.
It's not my best
Excellent.
work.
It's good. Mandy, this one's yours, and it works fine. The colours all sit nice. You've got a much more gentle sort of colour coming through there. The burnt sienna's kind of got a bit lost in your sky, but it doesn't matter. It works as it is. So again, another nice painting for your wall. Well done. Right, folks, massive well done on that watercolour painting. Now I've got some homework for you at home, and this is to practice water and reflections. Remember to paint your water wet and pay attention to both the height and direction of your reflections. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode of Paint Along with Matthew Palmer. Now this is the last episode of this series, and I really hope I've given you the inspiration and confidence to get started. So it's a bye from me, and it's a bye from these three as well.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
I've really enjoyed the whole series, Painting with Matthew, and to finish with a scene that I really love, which is the sea. It couldn't be better.
Well, I can't really blame the teacher. He did his best. But this is, it's all right, but a bit Lowry-esque. But I need to work harder at it.
Well, I really like the colours in this, the brightness of it. I've really enjoyed the series. I've really enjoyed doing all the paintings with Matthew, and I'm definitely continuing to do more.